So he may fail, as he vies for fame and glory, still he tries in each new story tale. That's Tennessee Tuxedo and his
Okay, this is Wally Wingert, your host for the commentary for Telephone Terrors, episode number 4 of Tennessee Tuxedo. Larry Storch, how are you?
Oh, Wally, fine, my boy. Thank you for asking.
Do you still stand on your head?
Every morning, every morning.
How long have you done that for?
I've been doing it now since I was about 30 years old, so I've been doing it for about 55 years now.
Well, it certainly works because you're, 88 now?
Yeah.
Well, last time I saw you, you looked in fantastic shape, and you're still just as funny as you always were, and doing all your characters and all your impressions on the road and in films and television. And, of course, we cartoon fans love you as Mr. Whoopi in the Tennessee Tuxedo cartoons.
Oh, thank you, Wally.
You used to double for Frank Morgan a lot on his old radio show. Tell that story about how Frank would go get schnockered between shows.
Oh, he used to say, I'm going over duck hunting at some bar across the street, and he said, you just take over and I shall be back in time. He was always on time, and I just did the dress rehearsal for him. He was a wonderful old guy, darling man.
Now, did they come to you, the people at Total Television, and say, we want a Frank Morgan voice for Mr. Whoopi, or was that your decision?
I think they wanted a Frank Morgan voice.
Ah.
They asked for it.
And they must have heard you do Frank Morgan in your act, maybe?
It's possible that they did hear me do Frank Morgan in my act, and they said that's the same voice that we want on television.
Ah, interesting. So in your act, you did probably hundreds and hundreds of characters and impressions. I wonder what made him, of all of your voices, what made him pick that one out?
It was a good cartoon voice.
Boy, it sure is.
It was a lively voice, and it was a great voice for telling jokes.
Now, I remember you telling a story about how you used to walk around to auditions with this packet of papers. You had every voice you did listed on a packet of papers. Tell that story. It's fascinating.
Gee, that's so long ago. That's just what I did. I carried around a list of the voices that I could do and told them, boys, pick one out and I'll do it for you.
Wow.
And that's the way it worked.
Well, that's a collectible to be sure for cartoon fans such as myself. When you do a character vocally and you're doing an impression or a cartoon character, what's the process that you go through? Do you must have to study the original voice, relentlessly.
No, I didn't. I kind of glammed onto it pretty easy. It came easy to me, and the voices that I do, they all came pretty easy to me, and I had to like them too. I wouldn't do a voice that or an actor that I didn't really care about.
Here's Mr. Whoopi right here, actually.
Friends found themselves in the offices of Phineas J. Whoopi.
You worked with Don Adams. You knew Don Adams ever since you were a kid. Is that right?
Yeah, we grew up together.
Wow.
Where did I put that three-dimensional blackboard? Oh, yes, it's in the closet.
These cartoons look great, don't they?
How wonderful.
Here it is.
And the 3D blackboard.
Oh, yes, the telephone.
On the cartoon there, he's drawing the telephone. Now, this is back when telephones were wired. You had to have a wire to a telephone. Now it's all wireless and everything.
Another phone. And an electrical current from a battery runs through them. Now, let's take a closer look at the speaking part. Right here is a thin piece of metal called a dial.
Did you get to work with Don Adams much on this cartoon, or because of your schedule did you have to record with him?
No, I didn't. Mainly, I did one of his Get Smart shows.
Oh, that's right. It's the Groovy Guru.
That's right. I did a Louis Prima voice. I didn't tell anybody who I was doing, but it was the Groovy Guru, and I thought, well, nobody will really be able to say who I'm doing. But Don Adams finally said, I know who you're doing. You're doing Louis Prima, which I was doing. And he had a good ear,
Yeah. Was he an impressionist too, Don Adams?
Yes, indeed. He teamed up with my brother for a while in Florida, and the act was called the Young Brothers. And it was, here he comes now, Jimmy Cagney, you dirty rat, I'm going to give it to you just like you gave it to my brother. And that was their act, just like that. Here comes so-and-so. Here comes Claude Rains. You know, and I would do, or my brother would do Claude Rains. And so that's the way they got away with that.
Your brother was an impressionist too.
Yes, he was.
So it ran in the family. Now, but you ended up doing films and television. Did he end up doing other things?
No, he didn't. He retired. He got out of the business quite young. He didn't live a long time.
Let's unload the piano.
Tennessee Tuxedo and His Tales premiered September 28th, 1963 in the fall season on CBS. It ran for 3 seasons, went into syndication. In 1963, what was your career like back then? You hadn't started F Troop yet. You were doing a lot of club dates and a lot of films and some episodic television. How did you find time to do a cartoon in the midst of your busy schedule?
Oh, I made time. I put anything aside. If I had a cartoon to do, I canceled anything else because I enjoyed doing it, and I was in Hollywood at the time, and I could always go back to the nightclub, but I did want to do the cartoons.
Yeah, well, it's lucky for us that you did, because you went on to do all kinds of cartoons. Now, the first cartoon you ever did was Cool Cat, right? In the 50s, maybe?
Gee, I'm not sure which one.
That was the cool tiger with the beret.
Gee, I can't remember that one, Wally. That's too far back. Really.
It's, when you've done the amount of work that you've done and accomplished all the accomplishments that you have, I can see why some of them would just fall by the wayside. Well, later in 71, you started doing Groovy Ghoulies for CBS, and you've been pretty busy all throughout your career. It's a really pretty amazing career, and you've got tons of great stories working with all kinds of different actors.
Tennessee, there's something I gotta tell you.
Later, Chumley, later. Here comes Stanley. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friends. I know we're all going to find this a most memorable evening. For my first selection, I'm going to play The Lost Chord.
Oh, he's just realizing that they've taken all of the wires from the piano to make the telephones. Yeah, I always liked Mr. Whoopi. He didn't appear for long, but Mr. Whoopi was always the educational and informational element of the cartoons. What are you doing these days?
I'm relaxed and just taking it easy. I go down to the park every day with my saxophone, and I sit on a bench and I blow, and I have a ball.
Boy, I would pay big money to be able to see that. It almost makes me want to fly to New York to just watch you play saxophone. You go to Central Park?
Riverside Drive Park.
Wow. Well, there you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Storch appearing live. Forget Stanley Livingstone playing piano. His concert's nothing. Larry Storch, he's a true musician. Well, we certainly enjoy your work and your career, and we're glad that life has been blessed with the talents and abilities of Larry Storch. Well, thank you, Larry. Great talking with you, and we love you.
How nice of you, and I love you guys, too. And thank you so much.
Come on and see Tennessee Tuxedo. See Tennessee Tuxedo. Tennessee Tuxedo and his tail.